Welcome back, folks, to the Smite Console League. My name's Tom, and that's going to be Ryan, otherwise known as Aggro.
Howdy.
And we've got ReturN versus Elevate. Where are you from?
Pittsburgh. Thanks for asking. Where are you from? I've never heard you say it.
Not some place where we say howdy. We say hello or whatever anything but howdy. Elevate versus ReturN here,
Howdy's
coming
fine.
into another week of the SCL. This is what we're going to conclude our Monday with. Elevate, ReturN. How are you feeling about this matchup?
Two teams that haven't quite found their potential quite yet during this spring split of the SCL. We are getting closer and closer to land, so even though they haven't had the performances they've liked quite yet, this is a great opportunity for them to pick up some much-needed points, try and get a better seed moving into that land.
We'll keep an eye on how both of these teams really work out as we head into picks and bans for our final set of the day. First pick will be on the left side. That'll belong to ReturN, and right away they're going to get off going and just ban Thoth.
I mean, super strong mid laner. Surprised to see Zeus banned away by Elevate. I mean, that's oBoronic in the mid lane again after spending a little bit of time in that jungle. That's his signature god, but in his defense, you can also make the argument that's Clow's signature god, so you don't want to necessarily give that away to ReturN.
Isis has been doing relatively well, but still we don't see that first pick. That's another one of Clow's go-to characters.
Sure.
Instead, we'll see the Sylvanus first pick overall for the Guardian role, and Elevate will answer back with a nice mid-game ability-based hunter Medusa and pair her with the ubiquitous Batz.
Yeah, you can really play either of these characters at any stage of the game. They can all make an impact. Really, post-level 5 is when both of them really want to fight, because both of their ultimates are just so game-changing. Excellent team-fighting presence already here for Elevate.
Poseidon and Agni locked down here. Now, normally those are characters that only find fun in the mid lane, but Jungle Poseidon is a thing. I've been saying it for a while.
Yeah, you have.
We'll see if ReturN will actually opt to go in that direction, leaving Clow with the Agni, but we'll keep our fingers on the pulse of that composition. Odin gonna bring the ring out for Elevate.
Yeah, I like this Odin selection. It locks all 3 members of ReturN's draft in already, as well as really shuts down that Sylvanus. Odin has always been a little bit more favored on the console. It just seems to be a comfort pick for so many of these players. Could be going to Kenshin, that support role. Could go over to the solo lane as well. So you don't really know where it's going, but it's going to be effective either way.
With Batz locked in, as Geb is locked in afterwards, you can assume that Elevate have their junglers set in stone. So Susato and, more importantly, a Wheelish are the bans coming out from Elevate in round number 2. Chaac Money is going to be locked in by ReturN in the 4 slot, and Nemesis will be the 5th character. So likely to see
Poseidon ADC is what I'm anticipating seeing here. And we saw BennyQ play that a little bit over on the Challenger Cup scene on the PC. Can definitely make an impact because he does benefit from building some attack speed with that Fatalis, with that Trident steroid for his auto attacks. Can definitely make use of that farm that he gets over there in the dual lane as well.
Old Man Hebo rounds out the draft for Elevate. Certainly a character that I think has seen a lot of play on the console more. Why is Habo so much more prevalent on the console than the PC?
I mean, it's similar to the Odin. It's just a comfort pick for more of these characters than they're willing to pick it in these pro level situations. But console fights tend to be a little bit more extended, a little bit more back and forth. But with a character like Habo, you can just instantly delete someone right away.
A little bit of technical difficulty on that draft. It's actually going to be Fatal Ghost on the Anhur hunter. So definitely a little bit more traditional than we might have anticipated.
Yeah,
there.
that makes sense.
So we've got Kata on the Chaac solo, the jungle Nemesis, Clow on the Poseidon, the mid lane, and DtheYungHomie supporting, and he'll be supporting an Anhur. So a little bit normal play there. Ooh, actually, this is perhaps more traditional, but seemingly strange because it's so mid lane Hebo. Normally, when Habo comes out here, we see him either in the long lane or solo, sometimes jungle. Mid lane, as he's a mage, should be his traditional role, but we rarely wind up seeing him here.
I mean, but again, this is a comfort pick for oBoronic, just like it is for Delta Marine. But like you mentioned, I mean, we've seen Twig pull out the Hebo jungle. You can absolutely do that, some Hebo ADC, but he's a little bit flexible, but can absolutely work in the mid lane. And we see here for ReturN, actually, that they've had a little bit of a roster change-up. TheYungHomie moving out of the solo lane, where he really, frankly, hasn't seen a whole lot of success during this young season, into the support role, where I knew him as a player early on in his career. And Catalyyyst going to move over to that solo lane. Usually a hunter, but now playing those warriors.
It should be interesting to see how Kata works out here. oMarsleezy going to get in trouble. Bird Bomb doing a lot of early game damage. Nice little turnaround from oMarsleezy, but not going to find anybody with that slice and dice. Instead, DoctorL and his friend Delnyy will walk back into their jungle.
Both hitting level 2. oMarsleezy still only level 1, and even if Nemesis was level 2, there isn't a whole lot she can really do about it. Nemesis not known for her early game pressure, really looking to make the impact once you max out that slice and dice, get a couple points into that ultimate as well, and then look to ult someone with the Nemesis and then immediately cracking them. Specifically, gods like Odin and Geb. You're going to be looking to combine these big ultimates with that Nemesis ultimate to pick off a key priority target.
I mean, Nemesis really only has 2 abilities, counting the ultimate, right? The shield is sort of a, you know, defensive maneuver, and then you got a dash, both of which have some sort of impact, but you're really just looking at slice and dice, ult, and the basics.
How do those not count as abilities?
Offensive abilities, my friend.
Okay, that makes sense. I'll let you.
Why
What
can't
do you
you
mean?
go back?
What do you mean?
Go back on vacation.
No, I missed you guys.
That makes one of us. ReturN here in the long lane.
It's not very nice.
They're playing the Anhur as opposed to some of the strangeness that we thought was going to come out. How do you think that this Anhur Medusa matchup, we see it, this is the go-to matchup for the long lane, and is it really just down to player skill?
I believe it is. I mean, you can see that Anhur has a lot of the same positives that Medusa has in terms of team fight presence, though it's not as much the ultimate, though Anhur can make a big impact in team fights with that Desert Fury, but Anhur's more about control in team fights with that Shifting Sands, Medusa more about the burst potential with that Petrify and Acid Sprayed combination. But if either one of these players is able to play aggressive, mainly due to jungle pressure on either side of the map, you really could see a solo go either way.
It's very interesting to watch this matchup. DoctorL has the red buff, interesting for Sylvanus. But so Kata on the Chaac, very curious to see him push back on his tower. Although if anybody's going to do it, I suppose it's an Odin.
Yeah, you can just kind of all in that wave as Odin, just not really worry about the poke potential that Chaac's going to bring to you. Once that axe gets a couple more ability points in there, the levels start coming for Catalyyyst. He will be able to clear that wave very, very easily, and that's when Delny's going to have to worry about all-inning that wave.
Yeah, for now, he can just kind of be Odin. And then as he makes his rotation a little bit later on, he's going to be looking to really lock people down, to allow oBoronic to just let everything loose. It's really about that mid lane Hebo.
That's exactly what oBoronic's looking to do on this Hebo, because he's been doing it so consistently. Whenever he was in the mid lane last season for that Aware team, he was playing the Zeus, playing the Hebo, these characters that are all about all-inning the opposition. Yeah, he may die in the process, but it's not gonna. He's going to be able to take 1 or 2 with him.
Yeah, right now, game back into the action. Just 3 minutes in, nice and early. And we'll see how these players work out. Right now, they're junglers. No surprise here to see a slow pace of the action. DoctorL doesn't really exist before 5. Not 5 minutes, but level 5. Needs that Fear No Evil. oMarsleezy, even later than that. It's not enough just to have that ultimate come online. You actually need more than a couple of items. You're really looking for at least 3 items and a couple of points in that ultimate for Nemesis to really be Nemesis.
I mean, there is some early itemization that we could see oMarsleezy go for to try and help him out. Delnyy cages Catalyyyst here. Does potentially have kill potential here if he's able to find the bird bomb, but Catalyyyst does a nice job of juking it out. He's gonna be able to escape A-OK.
So you're talking Ikaval?
No, I'm thinking hi-rez Lament. You can really upgrade your damage pretty easily with a fairly cheap item, as well as get you some CDR. Nemesis has a great ability to auto-cancel her abilities. You could really make use of that hi-rez passive, basically as well as Hunbat's can, I would say, though her passive doesn't lend itself to that hi-rez bonus damage quite like Hunbat's. An early Heartseeker as well. Nemesis has excellent poke with Slice and Dice. You can upgrade your damage for a pretty cheap option that way as well.
Yeah, definitely a couple of options there for the early game. And I like that, you know, I offered up Ikaval, but I like that you brought the CDR into the conversation, because that's really what ReturN are going to look for out of oMarsleezy. The ultimate very frequently. In a perfect world, Nemesis ultimate and Clow's ultimate on the Poseidon are on the same cooldown.
Yes. Yes, because you're using it in synchronization. They're looking for Catalyyyst. They're looking for, for Delnyy. They're looking for Kenshin and trying to find those picks with those ultimates in combination. The one thing that I'm looking at, we were talking about why the Hebo pick for oBoronic, and not only is it a comfort pick, but excellent against Nemesis, because that water carpet gives him and his team slow immunity. So anyone who gets hit by the Slice and Dice, by the Whirlpool out of Poseidon, by the ultimate from Nemesis, the Shifting Sands even, I mean, all of these could be immune by that water carpet coming out of Hebo.
Even Catalyyyst is going to be bringing slows himself, right? With the big rainstorm. If you actually activate it with the axe on the ground, which you're honestly doing more often than not in a team fight, because you're not even thinking about Torrent in that regard, that slow field is gigantic.
Sure.
So oBoronic really allowing himself to pave him and his team's way through that nonsense. For now, it's an early objective push. Half HP on the gold hero
Nice
already.
call.
This belongs to ReturN. Beautiful call. What allowed this window to open up for ReturN and leave Elevate just hanging?
It was Boronic and Kenshin sticking around too long in that mid lane, forcing themselves to back at an inopportune time. Boronic still hadn't backed, was waiting to finish off his entire penetration boots when he could have backed, picked up boots too, maybe a ward or two, and then looked to be there for an objective contest. Instead, backs the wrong time.
Nice little wraparound coming out from DoctorL. The mid laner's not going to get caught, but YoungHomie certainly will. First blood going the way of Elevate off of the back of Boronic. Well done, but you got to tip the hat towards DoctorL. That kill does not happen unless the jungler gets the flank.
YoungHomie never even able to get that ultimate off in that scenario. Another reason we see the Hebo pick, one of, Poseidon was in the meta for a long time, then fell out of the meta, and we're starting to see some of the old Poseidon counters come back into it. Chunga, pretty popular up against Poseidon because she can immune the Kraken. Aphrodite, able to immune the Kraken. That's why we see a little bit more of her as well. But Hebo's one of the old school ones, not only because of the slow immunity on the water carpet, but the Kraken is not a long range ultimate, and if you're getting hit by the center of Kraken, you're in range for crushing wave, and you can immediately use your ultimate to not only get out of that damage, but really burst down that Poseidon.
I like that idea. Very interesting way to think about it. Boronic here trying to get his own buff, but Fatal Ghost says, no way. Nah, Boronic, you'll be able to pick that one up. Fatal Ghost not going to get the kill just yet. So right now, Boronic, nice little pick there on the Hebo. Definitely want to keep an eye on this character. I love the way this character works out. He's so volatile. Frequently, he winds up 8-0 or 0-8. No in-betweens.
Would he be on your favorite Smite team? Did you hear us talking about that in the last game?
No, I didn't, actually.
Okay, so we said obviously Chaac, probably in the mid lane for you. Thanatos in the jungle, Sobek support, Tyr,
you mentioned
solo.
Naja too. I mean,
yeah,
Naja
and Naja ADC, I believe. Yeah, that would that be your favorite? Would that be your favorite type? Maybe Hebo ADC, because Chaac's got to be mid for you, right?
Well, so I mean, you got to go Chaac mid, but
I mean you don't have to, but you would.
What's on the aggro team? 5 gods that everybody hates? Yeah,
all 5 Zeuses. That's all I'm talking about. Knock up there onto Kenshin, as well as the Nemesis ultimate, and a big focus in from Fatal Ghost, but it's not enough to knock him down. oMarsleezy still trying to chase down that kill as Checo handles Ghost on the backside.
Michael Checo makes this for his team right there. The flank on the left-hand side with the ultimate coming out of the Medusa catches more than a couple of players, and it's not that it secures a kill aggro. As you see, the kill goes the way actually of the solo lane Delnyy, but it's the fact that it just made everyone run. ReturN could not continue their onslaught. They had to eject because Michael Checo showed up with the perfect Hunter flank. Beautiful play coming out from Elevate's Hunter.
Absolutely showing why Medusa has been so popular. Just that team fight changing ultimate petrify. I mean, how many times have we seen, big petrifies in the mid to late game that absolutely turn the game in their team's favor right there. Not the big, 5-man stun or anything, but enough to create space for Kenshin to escape and really make ReturN think twice about pushing forward.
So what took these mid-game hunters out of the meta before? We saw everything dominated by the world of Hou-Yi and Rams and very late-game oriented characters. So we just didn't get to see the Medusas, and I mean, Anhur's always relevant, but we didn't get to see the Deuces and the Cupids and such. Why did these guys disappear before?
The Bluestone buff helps out characters like Medusa pretty heavily, able to use not only the helped clear with that acid spray, but also applies on those Viper shots, so you're applying a very significant dot to the opposition with Bluestone. Transcendence being a viable build option choice definitely helps these ability-based hunters like Uller, like Medusa, gods like this, whereas before in Season 3, it was really only Devourer's Gauntlets was the option.
Which is interesting because that right there, that's a people meta change.
Sure.
Right? And when we talk about like changes to Bluestone, that's the developer makes a change and you have to respond accordingly. But when you're talking about the hunter builds, you couldn't go Transcendence Bluestone last year or last meta. Hold that thought. Fatal's trying to get tricky. He wants to steal this red buff. The ultimate blown out. Now Checo trying to steal the deal. Can't. And even with the ultimate, man.
Oh, nice ultimate, though. Good CC immunity.
See ya.
But that Fear No Evil is waiting, and DoctorL doesn't even need it to secure that kill. Around the back comes oMarsleezy. Clow still has that Kraken, as does a lot of ultimates here for Elevate as well. There it comes. Fear no evil. YoungHomie. See you later, brother.
I like the play coming out from Fatal Ghost, but I don't think he expected a full ultimate commit coming out from Michael Checo and the rest of the squad sort of coming.
But he got the red buff though.
Yes, exactly. That's the big deal, and that's why it was so good, because Michael Checo, even with the ultimate, couldn't grab his buff. Tough stuff for the Hunter. But as I was saying, I think it's very interesting. Gold Fury started here. Very quickly brought down to half HP. oMarsleezy here, but he's the only one. Nice separation. Clow trying to deal things,
nice.
And he gets the kill. Delnyy drops the ring, but Clow drops him himself. oMarsleezy shows up. He goes down for the count, and Elevate pick up their Gold Fury this time around, now separating themselves by about 1,000 gold here at the 11-minute mark.
oMarsleezy just cannot try and steal that away.
There's nothing he has.
You know Hebo has the ultimate. You know he didn't use it in that last engagement. Slice and Dice does a lot less damage than Crushing Wave.
Yeah.
Even in the early game, just a kind of a rookie mistake there, I would say, out of oMarsleezy.
I am 9 times out of 10 down to see the person on the enemy team try to throw something towards the Gold Fury and die for it. That's the 1 time out of 10 that I'm not, simply because you just don't have the tools. Anybody else, sans TheYungHomie, I'm down for, right? Chaac can throw an axe. Clow can do, I mean, he's got a Kraken. He's built for it. Same thing with the Anhur. Toss out your ultimate, even an Impale. But like you said, Slice and Dice just not going to do it. So gives up his life pretty much for nothing there, unfortunately. He's going to be Elevate's 5th kill of the game.
Clow does to find the return kill, though. Full return. On to Delnyy. Nice play out of the mid lane. Didn't get a whole lot of help, but was able to turn it around despite the level advantage, definitely in Delny's advantage.
oMarsleezy here on the right side, trying to change things up. Had a poor experience on the left side of the map. Now, looking for something a little bit different. Not going to be the case. So he'll just return to the Tier 1 tower. There for team return.
Is exactly what you expect at this stage in the game. And Elevate, with their early lead, has continued to push it very, very nicely. Not overextending too much, but finding the picks where they can. And YoungHomie looks to be the target, but not quite enough damage. No full commit there by oBoronic to knock down the support.
And that's the difference between when you're playing a Habwa versus some of these other longer range mages, is the fact that if that's any other mage, you probably get a kill off of that Fear No Evil. But oBoronic has to go so close and so deep to really get his abilities off that he'll wind up being fish food coming around to the next kill. He'll definitely be the return kill. So he's got to be careful.
Pull back in onto Kenshin. There's the Kraken, but the knockup is immune by the Cataclysm. oMarsleezy was trying to deal with the rest of Elevate on the backside, all the while Clow and YoungHomie was focusing on the support. As a result of the split DPS, everyone's safe and sound.
Early Divine Ruin coming out for the Habwa. Keeping an eye on, obviously, the Sylvanus and also the Chaac to a lesser extent, I suppose.
Yeah, I like this pickup.
Number 2?
In previous seasons, I'm not a fan of the early Divine Ruin because it just hampers your damage so much, but Flat Pen in the early game is incredibly valuable.
Sure.
And it also has a lot more damage than it did in previous seasons. So you're not giving up a whole lot of damage by going for this early Divine Ruin. Maybe you could have seen oBoronic go for what looks to be a potential Book of Thoth or a Soul Reaver second item, but I'd have no problem whatsoever with the second item, Divine Ruin.
Soul Reaver second item? That's something on the menu?
No, it's really not.
Okay.
I mean, he has the option right now.
Sure.
Third item, you could go for the Soul Reaver, but at second item, you're basically forced into the Book of Thoth.
That's what I kind of figured.
Just because it goes based off percent HP, and in the early game, your HP is lower, so you get less return on your investment.
Right now, ReturN trying to make some sort of investment on the right side. Instead, Elevate going to bring themselves higher and take that Portal Demon.
Do you want some sort of recognition?
What are you talking about?
I don't know. You got a pin on today, and it looks nice.
I've had this pin on for the past 3 weeks, Aggro. You missed 2 days, not a month.
I know. I was just trying to compliment you, and that's the only thing I can think of, because our ties are too similar to compliment you on that.
We're feeling blue today. That's what we're rocking.
Yeah, we do have a lot of blue on.
Yeah, it's kind of
It's
nice.
a Monday. That makes sense.
Yeah, Mondays. Other way. Elevate. It's 5-1. 15 minutes in. Elevate still trying to deal with their own jungle. Now, these teams I mentioned earlier, oMarsleezy, obviously one of the latest game characters in the jungle that you can really opt for. Elevate DoctorL, a little bit different. He's not that late. He's already 5. He's 13, in fact, so no big deal. Where are we going to see? We haven't seen the big play. We've seen kind of players stumble into the wrong hood. We've seen some objective. Where's the big play coming out from either one of these squads?
Could be once Kenshin hits level 12 and is able to get that second relic. If he does want to opt for the blink, we could see a big blink engage. You can really stack those CCs well with Cataclysm and Fear No Evil to allow yourself to win a big team fight. Delnyy is starting to rotate a little bit more into these team fights. A cage could absolutely turn it around because only Fatal Ghost and Catalyyyst can get out of that Odin cage. So once the 5v5 team fights start happening, I think it does favor Elevate. But if ReturN could just hold on, wait until, you know, the 22, 23 minute mark, they could absolutely turn it around.
This guy, he's coming from around the back end. Double blink comes out, and the ring is going to put everybody in trouble as the Fear No Evil comes out as well. Cloud's got no chance this time. DoctorL puts him down. Nice pull out of the DeYungHomie, but don't think he really wants that Hebo too close to him. Fatal Ghost finds an impale and responds with the ultimate, but ultimately, Elevate really, they're 5 strong players, and ReturN don't want any part of this fight. Instead, Elevate will pick up the one pick that they get, and they'll turn their attention to the Gold Fury with that cracking down for the count.
Kenshin uses the Cataclysm trying to create the space, but Elevate, they want the fight, not the objective. Fatal Ghost trying to run away from DoctorL and will be able to escape thanks to the peel from Catalyyyst, but DeYungHomie does not get the same love from the solo laner. oBoronic able to get his second kill of the game. And after getting that pick, all of Elevate just return right back to the gold.
Love the play from Catalyyyst already. Nice silence. Tosses the axe over the wall.
Oh, it was close.
Oh, just barely misses it. You saw the Gold Fury go down, but it got last hit by somebody on Elevate, so all of the gold belongs to them. About 4,000 separating our two teams here today, folks. Catalyyyst now on the left side, trying to deal with the Hunter.
There's some farm over here. You may as well take it. You want to make sure that you're maximizing each rotation out of that solo lane, and Fatal Ghost is able to get here and split that wave with Catalyyyst. So it's not quite as valuable for Catalyyyst, but still better than just backing and not really worrying about any sort of farm. As Delnyy is able to push in that wave on the right-hand side. Without Catalyyyst, he does have the teleport, but not interested in using it at this stage. It's going to be a decent amount of farm he's missing on the right.
So oMarsleezy opting for a more defensive build coming out here on the Nemesis. There are really Nemesis is one of the characters in the jungle that there are a number of approaches to, similar to, I suppose, Thor, but more accurately, perhaps Fenrir, where you can go in multiple different directions. Sometimes you see full CDR where Nemesis is just alt bot, and that's what you normally see when Nemesis gets a little bit behind. Then when she gets ahead, you can be offensive, whether you're borrowing Adapting's book and building critical strike, or you're just building straight up attack speed and chin side. Here, we see a little bit of the blend. The Spirit's Robe and the Jotun's Wrath are going to allow Nemesis to both be up close and personal in the front line while still dealing out those ultimates, and with that second penetration item coming through, whatever it may be, that's giving you a hint that oMarsleezy wants to stay aggressive.
Absolutely, and there is a lot of CDR built in already between the Jotun's Wrath and the Spirit's Robe. So, like you mentioned, a little bit of a hybrid build coming out here for oMarsleezy. But like we mentioned, he didn't go for either of the early game offense items, so his damage is going to be lacking in terms of what he can do with this penetration.
Ooh, that's a win. Michael Checo gets his ultimate chased out just by getting walked at.
The Nemesis ultimate did come out there from oMarsleezy, so that's you saw him use that for the CC immunity and get out of that slow.
Good catch. So it's going to be ult for ult there, jungler. Not janitor, although sometimes.
Cleanup crew?
Yeah, your jungler can certainly wind up being the janitor. Instead, this time around, oMarsleezy just chases and gets ult for ult. 17-16 over there in that long lane. Don't really think that's too much of a big deal to talk about, but this Catalyyyst gank, well, he secures himself with the safety axe underneath the tower. He should be fine.
Delnyy not even worried about his solo lane opponent, just gonna knock down that tower. It's the first tower down on either team in the 19-minute mark here. No, excuse me, actually ReturN did knock down that tier 2 or tier 1 in middle a little bit earlier on, so a tier 1 tower down on both ends.
Right now, Portal Demon started, half HP already. oMarsleezy again, nothing he can do about the objective control. And that'll go the way of Elevate. Free 50, free. Nothing that anybody on ReturN could do about it. And so they'll just return to the mid lane. Elevate now 4 players deep here and not opting to, ooh, no they are. They're waiting, now they're all backing in tandem. Elevate want to go spend that gold that they just earned.
5,000 gold down is ReturN right now, and they just haven't been able to really be the aggressors in this matchup at all. This late game Nemesis pick has really forced ReturN to be the counter initiators, and they haven't been able to find a good one. Elevate's done a great job of finding the right engagements. Counter engage comps can be very, very effective. We saw Obey turn a game around with one earlier on today, but if the enemy team doesn't make mistakes, it can be difficult to win.
Yeah, I mean, if you're, like you said, if you're just depending on those mistakes and they just don't come, well, what are you supposed to do? I guess that's a good thing in trying to, you know, mind game your opposition. Fatal Ghost here, no games included. He'll be getting that tier 1 tower in the left lane. Mid lane, however, a couple of ultimates drop. Tower still not dead just yet. Michael Checo has to choose between the players and the objective. Instead, off to the players. Kraken comes out, it's gonna hit one, but it hit him with the Aegis. DoctorL still totally fine right there, despite burning the relic. There's the blink in. 3-man Kata from Kenshin. oBoronic puts down Clow. Wonderful play coming out from the guys on Elevate. Just a beautiful initiation, but the rotation from Fatal Ghost proves fruitful and puts down DoctorL.
But now without his jump, he's worried about the damage from oBoronic, and he should be. There's the kill. 4 kills for the mid lane Habwa. Only Catalyyyst and oMarsleezy. Only oMarsleezy alive for ReturN, as Delnyy tells him that he will not fall.
oMarsleezy's barely alive himself.
Yeah.
He's got more shield than HP right there, unfortunately. And, well, Michael Checo, nobody's around. Go right for the fire giant, like this call.
Love it. DoctorL, the only one down right now. Elevate could probably actually wait to secure this until he respawns if they're feeling a little bit frisky, but Michael Checo and squad probably just going to secure it. It's going to be pretty close. Could be all 5 members of fire giant. Okay, they could have totally held that.
oBoronic intentionally hit it with them. That's what it was.
You think so?
He hit it with the water hands nice and quick.
DoctorL's the captain. oBoronic may not be on that team much longer. Plays like that.
Knowing that he's the captain actually makes me 100% sure that they did that on purpose.
Hey guys, can you hold fire giant for me?
Yeah, we'll give it a shot.
Yeah, Checo and Delnyy are both like, yeah, bro, we got you. oBoronic is like, nah, son.
Yeah, oBoronic's like, you yelled at me for being 5 minutes late to scrim last week. I'm getting this fire giant from me.
Wouldn't it be nice if DoctorL had some fire giant regen on that mana pool right now?
Maybe. I mean, at the end of the day, Batz, Lil Caves doesn't need that fire giant buff.
I suppose not.
Doesn't need that fire giant buff. Now oBoronic, Checo, Delnyy, absolutely.
Really? You think the Odin needs it?
Yeah, man. He's got to jump up and down a lot.
He is going to jump up and down a lot. He's been jumping up and down on ReturN's head all game long. ReturN still looking for their first victory in the spring split, and they've got quite the mountain to climb if they want to do it here in game 1.
Not just ReturN, but Odin doing well pretty much across the league. I mean, this is a character that, you know, does extraordinarily well on the console, and it's interesting because I think there was a lot of people sort of thinking maybe it has to do with the platform, right? But then you see Uzi transfer over to the PC league, and he's still sticking to his Odin, and he's still wrecking. And I think that's sort of the conversation that I started about the Transcendence builds and the Hunter builds and everything. Meta is partially dictated by the game and partially dictated by the players themselves.
Absolutely can be. But either way, if it's just the players or just the meta, Odin is winning this game along with the rest of Elevate. Kenshin does fall pretty low thanks to that ultimate from oMarsleezy. Now's the time where that's going to start to really pay big dividends, but the Petrify from Checo is good to zone out the rest of ReturN. And Delnyy drops the cage on DtheYungHomie. The Phantom's good, but can't get him out of that Fear No Evil.
Fear No Evil puts DtheYungHomie right against the wall, but the basics and everything out of Fatal Ghost pushes the monkey out of the conversation, and DtheYungHomie gets his revenge, dropping the wisps. Here comes the Goomba Stomp, not on the mark from Delnyy. Kata is gonna fall down. oBoronic puts down Homie as well. Bad luck 13-3 at the moment. And Elevate gonna continue. Up, down, coming out from Delnyy one more time. There's oBoronic again. 6-0-7 on the young man's mid lane Habwa. Fantastic stuff out of Elevate. They're gonna clean Clow up, or at least try, but they'll take down the mid lane Phoenix inevitably. The left one already dead. Actually,
No.
Elevate gonna skip it.
They don't even want the Phoenix. They just want the victory, and they're in a great spot to do it. oBoronic still has that crushing wave. Can just use it on the Titan and basically secure the victory here for Elevate. 15-3, a clean win for the squad. ReturN still looking for their first victory here in the spring split.
Clean's really the word there. I think you nailed it with that word selection. Just absolutely, really no stutter step, no issues, no pauses, no nothing coming out from the guys.
We did have a pause.
From the guys on Elevate, just looking.
Just one, though.
Pretty just spick and span.
Yeah, they really did kill it. Elevate is definitely a team that, even though they're at the bottom of the standings right now, sitting in the 5th place spot coming into today, they were, I mean, a team that played at Worlds last season. They only had a couple roster changes there. You know these players have excellent potential. Just a matter of kind of finding that synergy with their new teammates and their new roles, basically.
So as we